So let me show you one of the simplest sorting algorithms and how we're going to bring it to life visually using JavaScript and React. It's called a bubble sort. While it's not the fastest, it is one of the easiest to understand, and we're going to break it down, build it step by step, and then we're going to actually watch it sort a list in real time. So you may be wondering, what is a bubble sort? A bubble sort is a comparison-based algorithm. Basically, it works by comparing two items adjacent in a list and swapping them if they're in the wrong order. This process is going to continue over and over until the largest item in the bubble is up to the end of the list, just like it would if you were bubbling in a water. Each full pass through the list is going to push the next largest item to its correct position, and that's where the name comes from, a bubble sort. So you may be wondering, how would you write it in JavaScript? So let me show you the simplest way to implement this using plain JavaScript, and that's just using a for loop. Basically, what we'll do is we're going to create two outer loops. The first one will set the iterator I equal to 0. The second one, inside of it, we're going to set the iterator j equal to 0. But in both scenarios, we're going to iterate through the length of the list. But for j, we're going to include we're going to include -i and then -1. That way we're getting the next item in the list. And for each of those loops, we're going to increment it by 1. If the array with the placement of item j is greater than the placement of array j plus 1, we'll use destructuring to swap those positions. So there's a few different ways that you could do it, but this is going to be the easiest way to understand and probably the way that you'll start out with if you're just learning JavaScript. So now I want to bring this to life visually so that you can take a look at what it looks like. We'll start by marking this as a client-side file because we'll need to bring in React's useEffect and useState hook to kind of help with the client-side activity. Inside of the sort page function, we'll have two state values. The first state value will be values, which is going to hold an array of numbers, and is sorting is just basically going to manage if we're in the process of sorting the algorithm so the user can't click on sorting again. After it, we're utilizing useEffect to grab the initial values for the array. The array is going to have a total of 25 different items, and you can adjust this by adjusting the length. And we're using math.floor and math.random to randomly get a number between 0 and 109. And we'll pass in the initial values for set values for that state so that those 25 items will be placed within the number array. So then we'll need to create a const named bubble sort. This function is going to be called every time we click the sort button, as we're passing the onClick handler and passing in bubble sort function. To break down how this works, we'll define a asynchronous function because we'll be using a wait to pause during each of the visual steps. We'll set is sorting to true because this is going to state that we're in the process of sorting and we don't want the user to click this button while it's being sorted. We'll create a copy of the values array to sort so that we don't have to worry about mutating the state directly. We'll select all of the .bar divs from the DOM. We'll use this visually to highlight which bars are being compared so that it'll be a little easier to see. The outer loop is just going to make sure that we're iterating through the array multiple times. The inner loop is going to be doing the comparison of the elements. The -1 is going to avoid checking something that we've already sorted at the end. Here we have bars j. This is just going to highlight the two bars that we're comparing using a yellow background. This is going to be the item on the left, and then the +1 will be the next item on the right. The await new promises set timeout. This is going to help us pause for 100 milliseconds so that we can see the animation take place. And then here, basically, we're saying if the left value is greater than the right value, we need to swap them. Here, we're using destructuring to kind of help with the swapping of the two values. And then finally, we'll set is sorting to false once all of this is complete. That way we can end the animation and the user can view the sorted bars based on the bubble sort algorithm. Now in the JSX, all we're basically doing here is mapping over the values from the values array that we created. In this case, we would have 25 bars. For each one, we're displaying a div and we're setting the style height to the value ×2 just so that we can get a better visual representation. And then as I mentioned earlier, we have a button that has a on-click handler, and we're passing in the bubble sort function so that every time we click it, the sorting will begin. And at that point, we'll be able to disable and enable the is sorting function. So with that, let's just go ahead and take a look at it in action and see what it looks like. Here you see that each item is being adjusted based on the comparison of the sort. And then ultimately what we should end up with is the smallest at the end and the highest bar on the far right. That's absolutely perfect. So there you have it, a quick visual representation using JavaScript, React via Next.js. I hope you found this video beneficial. If you did, feel free to give me a like, consider subscribing. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.